My girlfriend and her husband hadn't been getting along. Though he swore he'd make her life a song, still his marital duties he'd shirk. He was exactly months behind in his homework. And she was fit to be tied, you can imagine. So she said to herself, don't worry, I'll win him back, clothes will do it. So she went to the very best shop in town and bought a beautiful new creation, a black velvet and ermine. And it really was a ravishing gown. That night after dinner, he lit his pipe and started reading his paper. She could see there was going to be no conversation. So she slipped up the stair and she made up with great care and she put on this lovely creation. Well, she walked in the room with the grace of a queen. Frankly, she had more on the ball than Garbo walking in a scene. She posed and she strolled and her eyeballs she rolled. She was in no mood for dickering, but he went right on smoking his pipe, reading his paper, never even gave her a glance. So she said to herself, I know what I'll do. If it fails, it'll be his last chance. So she went up the stairs and she took everything off. And she looked at her figure with great pride. This time she walked down the stair, so lovely but so bare. Once again she strolled to his side. She walked around once, she walked around twice. She was beginning to think there was no dice. When suddenly he put down his pipe, put down his paper. For the first time, his eyes glanced her way. He said, my dear, you amaze me. Do you realize you are getting gray? Gray hell, she yelled, gray hell, it's cobwebs, that's what it is, cobwebs. Miss Emily Post has long been able to boast her authoritative abortionative rules and regulations that we seem to accept as the things to do and not to do. And as late as last week, she was still refusing to speak when asked how she felt about Blakstone's new definitions on the conditions of what does and does not constitute a lady's position. Is that clear? In this social world, it is time for a change. From shy city gallops to riding the range of good taste. And with this in mind, folks, I speak for myself and perhaps for the rest of my kind. A lady is a lady no matter what cooks. Conditions should never affect her. Her library never contains dirty books, and she's not a French postcard collector. Though collecting is better than posing, they say, at the postures they ask and the wages they pay, still a lady would never be snapped in the hay. No girl ever would who's a lady. A lady's a lady and never unbends. No sexy sarong ever draped her. And if caught compromised with her husband's best friend, she explains that the guy must have raped her. She never gets stinking until after dark. Never takes nude sunbaths up in Central Park. And she never gooses young waiters. Such things leave their mark. You couldn't then still be a lady. A lady's a lady by night or by day. Never walks unannounced in men's showers. And if Beach Boys at Miami offer a lay, she insists upon one made of flowers. She subtly disguises unladylike lust. Never pelts dinner guests with leftover crusts. And she never drops ice cubes down fat women's bus. No girl ever would who's a lady. A lady is a lady whatever occurs. Never makes intrigue an issue. I'm reluctant to mention it, but she prefers using Kleenex in place of Scotch tissue. She never goes out with another girl's guy. Though she gets mad as hell, she won't spit in your eye. And she never feeds full or brush men's Spanish fly. But who the hell called me a lady? Smile when you say that, madam. Ring that bell, 'cause class will tell who in hell called me a lady. The moon shone bright, the scene was set. On such a night, two lovers met. She was so demure, and they were sure they'd met before. Little did they guess the happiness life held in store. The starlit sky was blue and clear, and with a sigh he held her near. He whispered he loved her again and again. She looked at him, he looked at her, and then sex reared its ugly head. The world turned into a Simmons bed. Oh, you can't take that away from me, she said. Yeah, but sex reared its ugly head. Love is blind, the poets say, but with Braille, any male can sort of feel his way. The following line is a bit risque, but it's sex to and even that he got his lady. Pardon me, I'm off the beam. He was lewd and lascivious. He was coolly oblivious to her voice as she started to shout, "Save me!" She didn't shout very loud. He was wheezing and fuming as he hissed, "We're both human. Let's lie down and thrash this whole thing out." Sex reared its ugly head. "Oh, let's turn down the light," he said. She struggled and screamed, "No, I'd rather be dead." Just then the light turned green. He said, "What are we waiting for? It won't get any greener. Come on, let's go right ahead. What do you say?" Sex reared its ugly head. Ever since the day we were married, I've been careless, darling, and so have you. But now that little Richard is 6 years old, looks like we'll have to watch the things we say and do. 'Cause little Richard's getting bigger every day. He's a whopper like his popper. If he doesn't stop growing mighty quick, they will soon be calling him Big Richard. Little Richard's getting bigger every day. He's a He-Man, like a G-Man. He has grown 3 inches since last May. Little Richard's getting bigger every day. Little Dickie's getting bigger every day. To be formal, he's abnormal. Everyone who sees Dickie will agree he is a Robert Ripley oddity. Little Richard's getting bigger every day. He's tremendous, he's stupendous. How much longer can he grow this way? Little Richard's getting bigger every day. He's really bloomin', getting bigger every day. He's superhuman, getting bigger every day. I never will forget the day I got my biggest break. The day I found the job that really wasn't hard to take. For what it took, it seems I had. So I just utilized my knowledge, teaching writing to the fellows up at college. Now, I devoted all my life to following the horses. In higher equitation, I had completed all the courses. In Roman riding, bareback stunts, I'd headed all my classes. I'd ridden everything from fancy studs right down to country asses. And the fellas loved to learn to ride the way I'd teach it, 'cause I kept my standards high, and the fellas all tried to reach it. And they succeeded more than not. They rarely missed a trick. I fought it hard sometimes, but still I didn't kick. Some fellas like circus stuff, like riding upside down, while others like Indian riding best, you know, where you just wrap your legs around. Oh, don't be naive, dear. The virile outdoor type of boy preferred to ride astride, while the shy, old-fashioned laddies did their riding on the side. I liked them all, the tall ones and the silly little runts, 'cause it seems they just went wild about my bareback stunts, and life was gayer on the whole when I applied my knowledge, teaching riding to the fellas fellows up at college. One pupil tried to show me how, the silly little chump. But he couldn't stand the bucking, he fell off and got a bump. But when he showed me where it hurt, of course, I had to pet it. I had to pet it. He thanked me oh so sweetly, said he never would forget it. Well, I held that job for quite a while. The pace was hot and fast. Teaching boys to ride was heaven, but it was just too good to last. For I had taught too stiff a course. My acrobatic troupe began to peter out. They all began to droop. I begged the boys to stretch a point and do the best they could. But I found no matter how they tried, their best was none too good. The day the payoff came, the day I took the count, was the day the dean discovered the boys couldn't even mount. Well, the damned old fool discharged me when he saw the boys' condition, and that's what rode me right out of a hell of a good position. But if ever I get another chance at higher education, I won't practice full-time. No, sir, I'll practice moderation. I'll stick to part-time piecework. I'll be stingy with my knowledge, teaching riding to the fellas up at college. Teaching riding to the fellows up at college. Can't you see me doing it, madam? Can't you? Teaching riding to the fellows up at college. Maybe mixing my scotch with my gin is what put me in this awful plight. But I simply can't remember who brought me home last night. I went to an elegant party. I drank till my head was like foam. I'm not worried about who took me there or who took me, but who on earth brought me home. It couldn't have been the refined host. We left him passed out in the hall. And it wasn't the guy who brung me, 'cause I didn't know him at all. It wasn't the movie director who wanted to test me right there. And I know that it wasn't the flyer who said, try it sometime in the air, you'll be sorry. I'm going a little bit crazy. I still can't remember or guess. I recall a few I said no to, but did I tell anyone yes? I'm sure it was not the musician who said I'd look sharp in his flat. And it wasn't that silly old doctor who said back bends will rid me of fat. The rat. Oh, oh, does anyone know who brought me home last night? It couldn't have been the nightclub comic, the one I left out on the limb. And it wasn't the actor from Harvey who said rabbits could learn things from him. Then there was a nice designer who thought satin sheets might be fun. And I recall an amorous gangster who said what I felt was his gun. Don't get the idea I was plastered. My mind was as clear as the stars. I recall all of those whom it wasn't, but I just can't recall who it was. It wasn't the real estate dealer who said he had lots to foreclose. And it wasn't the hairdressing Frenchman who was French from his head to my toes. Oh, I love that line. Oh, oh, does anyone know who brought me home last night? It is just like an unfinished picture. My memory is still incomplete. I remember all those I was cool to, but who finally turned on the heat? It couldn't have been, or was it? Oh, yes, I remember, that's right. It must have been just my own husband, 'cause he let me sleep all through the night. He didn't budge me, he did not nudge me, he let me sleep through the night.